Yes, Jumani, also known as Juby and Watchner, is always Arsenal. It's always something with Arsenal. This transfer window, of course, as we all know, was one of the bigger transfer windows in terms of big name movements. None of the big name movement had to do with Arsenal. We're talking about the Lionel Messi to PSG and the Cristiano Ronaldo reuniting with Manchester United. But Arsenal still was in the mix. Hold on. We still were able to somehow spend the most. Now, of course, as Cards mentioned some weeks ago, we need to spend money. You know what I mean? But we spent like about 156 million pounds this transfer window, and we only were able to ship out Joe Willock for like about 25 million, and we got a loan fee for Torreira, which I have to address, but we our net spend was really like about 131 million pounds. Now, that is a lot of money that we put out. We put out a lot of money and didn't really receive. Of course, in transfer market, you would purchase a player and you would pay in installments in some situations, or you may negotiate differently in terms of add-ons and so on. But generally, we spent a lot of money and we didn't get enough. But that's a different topic. I feel like we should have been able to spend this amount of money on a regular in Arsene Wenger's era. I'm talking about the latter half of his era at Arsenal, because he's a proven manager, he's a boss, and when he needed the funds, he wasn't able to get it as how Edu and they are getting it now. Of course, Arsene Wenger brought in Sanchez and Ozil and Aubameyang, Lacazette, Xhaka over the years. Yeah, Xhaka. But I'm talking about being able to spend in a transfer window and like this. I feel like it's a little too late. We could have gotten these kind of figures, or should I say, we should have spent this kind of figures when we needed it under a better manager, of course, and a better system. But that is a different conversation. We brought in a lot of defensive players. We brought in Ben White, which I find is a good signing. He still have to prove himself. 'Cause I understand. You had to prove yourself before I start to rave and big you up. But I like him. He's decent. We brought in the Japanese right back. Now, bear with me. I think it's Takahiro Timiyasu. I think so. But we brought him in, right? The Japanese right back. That was actually our last signing this season. And of course, we brought in Sambi, defensive midfielder. We brought in Tavares, left wing back. And we got back Odegaard now on a permanent deal, of course. So Ramsdale and all came in the goal as our substitute keeper, our main keeper. We're not too sure how things going to work out. But nevertheless, we brought in more or less a defensive lineup. It's not the best in terms of proven talent, but I admire the attempt to actually have security in those positions. You know what I mean? Holden, Mari, Mustafi, them players over the last 2 years or so wasn't really cutting it in the central defensive position. So I'm glad that now we have a centre back in Ben White to partner with Gabriel, hopefully. I'm glad that we actually made an attempt to get a right back. We actually got Bellerin out on loan with Real Betis, and we brought in a right back because right back has been terrorizing for us. We got a substitute for Tierney in Tavares, and we have a defensive midfielder in Sambi. So I can't be too vexed with that. What I'm not pleased with is the fact that years after years, I'm talking about in recent years, we not making no money from our players that apparently teams don't want to buy. There's a set of loan deals. Teams just don't find out our players worth spending money on. So we keep sending them on loan. They're not even getting game times when they go out on loan. Except for Guendouzi, of course, who is a rare case. And that's a situation by itself. Saliba is a situation by himself. You know what I mean? But generally, it's a set of loan deals, and you start to question the business operations within Arsenal. Um, Ever since Edu came in, the Willian is a mad scene by itself. Runnerson, why we bought him in the first place. Torreira, what we really want to do with Torreira, and of course, Maitland Niles. Some saying he's being held hostage, but them is the kind of thing that we really had to scrutinize. And probably we might see it in All or Nothing when it comes out in 2022, the Amazon series, because Arsenal is a sitcom to many. I still feel like my Arsenal would return to where they're supposed to be. But in terms of the transfer window this season, I feel like this should have happened under Arsene Wenger. You know what I mean? We had to work with it. Players still have to prove themselves, and we would see how the season runs. Yeah, of course, our season really begins after the international break. So I'm looking forward to the new inclusions. I think all of them deserved to start, with the exception of Tavares. Of course, Tierney would hold on to that left back position. I feel like Partey and Sambi could play in the defensive midfield, Xhaka would get in nod because we know how Xhaka have this magical this magical relationship with all our managers. But let me see how it work out now. A 7 out of 10 for me. I was saying 6 out of 10 earlier, but when I really look at it, it's a 7 out of 10 transfer window for me, in terms of considering the fact that we're not in Champions League, we're not in Europa League, so we can't really attract the players that we want, the big name players or the proven players. And we were still able to get some money from the board and purchase, or at least make an attempt to fix some of the positions that not really 100%. Of course, I'm not satisfied with our outgoings in terms of financially, and in terms of we still have some dead weight on the team. So we'll see how it works, but nevertheless, it is always Arsenal.